Hello, this is Shuo Zhang. I'm a DNA student in University of Hertfordshire. I would like to talk about the commercialization of the Olympic Games mascot souvenir in this video. Olympic Game is a global event. It is a modern mess because the Greeks never suspended their vows. The church did allow those religious pilgrims who were traveling to Olympia to pass through warring territories unmolested, because they were protected by those. The origin of the Olympics is shrouded in mystery and legend. Olympic spirits are errant, base, flag, oak, Hades, Aphene, and fowl. With the development of Olympic Games, the relative types of souvenirs and the amount of them are increased. For example, in 2016 Rio Olympic Games, they have souvenir T-shirt, toys, keychain, and coins. At the same time, which design become Olympic mascot has its own rules. For example, Rio Olympic Games, they need over the 3 weeks following the presentation of the Olympic and the Paralympic mascot. A public vote took place to select their respective names. According to the research, in the 1968 Winter Olympic Games in France, the first mascot made its appearance here. However, it was not an official mascot. There were unofficial dove and giraffe mascot in 1968 Mexican Olympic Games. It is officially approved the idea of an Olympic mascot at the 73rd section of the International Olympic Committee in Munich in 1972. Thus, the first official Olympic mascot was Waldy, which is the 1000th at the 1972 Munich Olympic Games. After that, mascots have become a major element of the Olympic brand. The first Olympic Games, which staged after the Second World War, the specter of commerce was conspicuous at that time. Eva Brundage, who was the president of the International Olympic Committee, and also was a right-wing businessman from the USA. He opposed with messianic vehemence at any moves to develop the Olympic on a more commercialized footing. Even when he nearly retired, he was still declaring that International Olympic Committee should have nothing to do with money at Munich Olympic Games. However, as the Olympic has become a high-profile global phenomenon that attracts most prominent cities and capitals in the world to try for a chance to bid for the prize of hosting an Olympic game, especially the Summer Games. That is recognized, and also they do not want to give its products away in one go and want to sell products to make more profit, so that the summer and the winter games were separated by the International Olympic Committee. After the Albertville Winter Games and the Barcelona Summer Games of 1992, that decision had been taken in 1986. In the wake of the euphoria of the profile and the profitability of the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. Also, there is little doubt about that it is a chance of giving better value to those companies signing to be preferred partners in the IOC's new sponsorship programs. For the IOC's bidding process and the marketing strategy, the curve seem to be separate progresses. However, as the IOC has exploited its products in increasingly successful ways in the 2 decades since the pivotal Los Angeles Games, it has become clear that the processes are 2 dimensions of a single process. The intensifying commercialization and the commodification of the Olympic products. As Dave's description, the Olympic Games reflect an interesting spectacle characterized by much complex given the vital role of the event in contemporary societies. In analyzing the event, the lenses of the junction between the activity itself and the business. The magnitude of the event leads to good creative and innovative options for athletes and sponsors in the game's activation phases. Thus, it looks Olympic Games is involved in commercialization and would be gradually deeper. Let me list several examples. From the research, in 2004 Athens Olympic Games, the total income from the whole event was 2.09 billion euros. There were 530 million euros from souvenir sale, which is nearly a quarter of the total income. In 2012 London Olympic Games, the organizer of London was set to raise almost £100 million from souvenir sale. And as the success of Team Global Olympians. Moreover, in 2016 Rio Olympic Games, organizers hoped that Olympic souvenirs carrying the Moscow logo would generate sales of $400 million. The organizing committee will receive about 15 to 20% of sales of branded souvenirs, with the rest going to licensed manufacturers and vendors. For the whole issue, I have interviewed Lisa, who is a professor in design area.
About the graphics and the logos and the mascots that happen in conjunction with the Olympic Games. And what do I think? Well, if you mean that the mascots and the logos, or the mascots in particular, are supposed to embody the spirit of the Olympic Games, I'm not sure that that's all that successful, generally. I can see that the mascots, I can see how they add to the event, they generate fun and colour perhaps around the event, but I'm not sure that they successfully embody the spirit. I do, because I think it's a problem of our current time. It's not specific to the Olympic Games, but it obviously is apparent if you mean the way the merchandise, everything is so commercialised and the merchandise is produced to raise funds, I guess, but the cost of putting on something like an Olympic event is so huge, and some countries have, it's cost them very dearly. So I suppose you do have to find a way of raising funds, and the merchandise that goes with the Olympic Games is obviously one way of doing that. But I think there is a problem in just filling the world with more stuff that no one really wants, which is what happens. You buy your Olympic Games cap or mug, and probably a few weeks later it's in the bin, which is not a good idea at all. Well, you could, given that you've got to raise funds, and given that people also, it's a momentous event, and we all like to take part in some way or feel that we are participating in some way. And you do, certainly with the Olympic Games that were held in London, it was a wonderful event, and you do want a souvenir of that time as a sort of memory. I mean, I kept my Olympic Games entrance tickets as a souvenir. So what you need to do, I suppose, is make sure that the merchandise you're producing, or the souvenirs you're producing, are very environmentally, take the environment into account, so that if you're producing stuff, make sure it's easy to dispose of, or perhaps use recycled materials even. So although that might not, well, I think you can sell it on. I think people will buy anything as a souvenir, quite frankly. So let's make it so that it doesn't damage or cost the earth, cost us, human existence at the same time.
It is better to balance the souvenir sales and the meaning of the activity itself. All of this carries over to the Viennese people feel about the commercialization of the game. The host city provides infrastructure which it can use following the game. And the private sector, through television rights, sponsorships, licensing, and ticket sales, pays for the spectacle and may even provide incremental support for the infrastructure. This allows the Olympic movement to focus on its proper role, maintaining and enhancing the fundamental elements of sport played in accordance with the rules. Engaging youth in the pursuit of aspirational goals through sport, fostering international sport, and ensuring that the goal of participating in the Olympic Games remains the highest objective for any athletics.